Hi, I'm Tommy. If you're not at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like. Now, if you are at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah! 216creatorstudios.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cappuccino behind the scenes here at another great episode of the Little Black Raincloud Chronicles. Hope Vitali's in the house once again. Listen, if you like what you see here today, don't be afraid to go to that old Google box on YouTube, 216 Creator Studios. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ding that bell for the future notifications, and we appreciate your support. Hope, it's been a minute. How are you doing?
I am awake. And I have caffeine.
Well,
so
that's
good.
important. That's important.
Can we give a shout out to Tommy on that commercial? Because like when I have a choice to pick commercials before my set, like I love watching him play. He just makes me happy.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
I've seen him bass guitar, piano. Piano is his go-to. He sings. We recorded his music video here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. He went through some medical stuff recently, and he's back in the house and he's happy and everything is good to go. So
awesome.
Yeah, big shout out to Tommy.
Good.
Gotcha.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. So today's episode is actually a little bit different. Normally we have a bunch of crazy people sitting up here. Today there's just one of us.
I'm not too sure about that one.
There's one behind the camera.
Yes. Well, I mean, the entire company is owned by Crazy.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Like the 216 in general is just owned by Crazy.
We're nuts.
Owned and run by Crazy. So our show fits just perfectly here. But today we are meeting with a local therapist, and he's pretty fantastic. If you can I put the name out there of the company business? Yes. So Proactive Behavioral Services, Health Services. There's one location in Algonquin. There's also one in, is it Inverness?
Inverness, yes.
So if you like everything that we're going by doctor, we're going by first name here.
Todd is
Todd's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if you like what Todd is saying, he's got an entire staff of associates that can help you out. We're going to put the information in the description, which is below, kind of where that ding that bell is.
Yep.
Down yonder.
It will be as soon as Nico gets it.
Yeah. Well, it's in actually it's in Cappuccino's inbox right now.
Oh, nice.
Yes, it is. It should be the top thing too.
I'll make sure I look for it.
Yeah. Because I sent it from the other room.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nothing like last minute.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wrote it like 3 weeks ago. But if you like what you hear, check them out. If you don't like what you hear, well, then bye. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, no. If you don't like what you hear, please provide the feedback That's how we all grow and change.
Absolutely.
So if you have
Well,
negative things, please share that as well.
well, when I used to work at David's Bridal, we thrive on reviews. So I used to tell my brides, okay, I need this whole day is about you, but I'm going to need it to be about me for like 10 seconds.
Mm.
Could you leave me a review? And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if you like me, my name is Hope. If you didn't, my name is Ashley. Ashley's got some really shitty reviews over there in Schaumburg.
People in the company are like, who's Ashley?
Who the hell is Ashley?
They got a wrong location.
Yeah. There's no Ashley in Schaumburg, but there is. You just don't know. Okay. So do we want to start with, you give a little bit of background? How did you get here?
Sure.
You know,
Hope and I are mentors back and forth. And today I got to meet Cappuccino, and he's in that club as well. I'm a clinical psychologist licensed in the state of Illinois, and a couple of certificates in addictions and the criminal justice system as well. But we have a practice, as Hope had shared, both in Algonquin and also in Inverness. And we have roughly 25 clinicians, which include psychiatrists, psychologists, master's level people. We work with children, adolescents, adults, couples, and seniors.
so everyone.
A little bit of everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the answer is, can they help? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
All of the things. So it's going to seem a little strange for the show because normally we are a complete shit show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, normally we are just like, we're going to talk about the thing, whatever the thing is, and then we don't end up talking about the thing.
We go right off the rails.
Oh, there
It's
are
totally ADHD.
yeah.
in there.
But I actually have questions. So normally we're talking about, in our normal daily craziness, we talk about all sorts of topics, whether it's about ending your own life, and Kent isn't here, so I didn't say it out loud. Look at me go. And we talk about trauma in general. We talk about losing a loved one, grief, anxiety, depression, abuse of any form, cultural stigmas, all sorts of things. We talk about it all. We also suggest that if you've gone through trauma, if you're going through trauma, if you are going through anything, that seeking professional help is usually a good idea. I believe everybody should go to therapy.
It's interesting because as you're talking, what your show is about is how to get through life's battle wounds.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is every generation since we became human beings has had to deal with the setbacks,
Yep.
with the traumas. It's sort of like if you want to live life, buckle up because you're going to get things that happen to you. You're going to have things that are very unfair at times.
Although I will say we've probably got it a little bit easier now. I think we've talked about this, that my amygdala is still going absolutely berserk. My fear center of my brain is telling me I should be afraid of everything. However, I'm not wandering into any caves, and I'm not going to be eaten by a saber tooth or anything.
True.
My
True.
ancestors, as we've spoken about, had probably a couple of them got picked off by large mammals.
Yes. There's always been sort of, some would call it a darkness to humanity, but the challenge the challenge for our country is it's been very comfortable for a very long time, and people forgot how to deal with pain and discomfort. Not everybody. I get a lot of people who come in where they are well seasoned in life's pain. They know what it's about.
Yeah.
But our general population, because we don't have that a lot in that, well, I guess we do have in movies and that, but it doesn't register at a deeper level.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, my whole thought with this particular episode was going to be, when I go to therapy, I'm sitting in front of my therapist and I'm, just spilling everything. Open book, have all of my trauma, which is probably not all trauma. It's probably just me overreacting to things. But I always say to myself later, okay, I've just dumped all of this on this person. What did they take from it? And how do they carry that? Like the dark stuff. When I do share something dark, when I talk about my dad, when I talk about, just life in general, how does that affect that person? So I wanted to do an episode Like in my therapist's office, we actually have two couches. There's like my couch and my pillows, and then their couch and their pillows across like the
That
table.
sounds like a very equal setup.
It
That's
is.
very
It's
interesting.
very comfortable too.
Yeah.
It is. Except for the ungodly amount of stairs. Other than the stairs, we're good. It's like being at home. Gotta sell that house. But I always wonder, like, on their couch, what do they take home out of the dark that I spill? So I wanted to do like behind the couch, or in my world, it would
Oh, I
be on
see.
the other couch, like behind the scenes of a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, anybody in the mental health
Mm.
realm. I wanted to kind of get that thought process going. So I did write some questions.
Okay.
So the first thing is actually for you specifically, and then maybe more general. What drew you to become a therapist? Like what what made you say I want to deal with crazy? Although I don't think we're allowed to call people crazy, but
Yeah.
what are
I
Uh,
do. I don't know.
the way how I address that term would be for people who are off the mainstream path or are having difficulties coping with it.
okay, so all of us. Got it.
Yes, basically all of us. But I have thought of that question throughout my career. How did I end up here? Because I really wasn't telling myself that I would end up here. The catalyst is going from high school and into college. I was lost. That was a tough transition for me. So when my dad saw me doing some things I probably shouldn't have been doing, he says, "You're going to therapy." It wasn't an option. Because it was either go to therapy or deal with his wrath. But in the process of therapy, I was so lost. I remember telling the therapist, yeah, something about me being stupid. And she said to me, "What did you just say to me?" I mumbled it. She shocked me, which is a technique in therapy.
Mhm.
And I said something about being stupid. She goes, "You have no idea how smart you are. If you cannot administer an IQ test, listen to their use of vocabulary. It's the number one indicator of intelligence." So she saw something I didn't understand, but she coached me out of letting go of the party life in high school and to start getting serious. And I got a job at the library at Harper College.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of those pop psychology books, and I realized the brain is the last frontier. We don't understand so much of it. So I found that intriguing. That was the point. But it goes back where when I was in grade school, I'd play kickball with the kids and go down the slide
Yeah.
and all that. But I would also go to the edges of the playground because I wanted to know why those people were standing there by themselves. I found them to be the most fascinating students because they didn't just talk about kickball. They talked about stuff that was very off. Now I know they were creatives.
I was gonna say that one girl sitting on the sidewalk reading Edgar Allan Poe.
There you go.
I'm not
Yeah.
projecting a little.
Yeah, so it was really a calling. When I look back on my life journey, some are really called to this profession. Now, there's a whole wide range of therapists
Right.
and styles that are statistically backed to be effective methodologies. You know, mine is probably very hard on humanism.
Adlerian.
I went to the Adler School
Mhm.
of Professional Psychology, now the Adler University. Yes.
So actually, before I get into the next question, because I think it's going to make sense more for people, can you explain a little bit about the Adlerian School of Thought as well as a little bit about Gene Houston? Because fascinating humans.
Yes, yes. I was at Adler when it was still the Adler School of Professional Psychology. So I had the pleasure of training with Dr. Silverman, Dr. Harold Mozak, Dr. Bernie Schulman, some of the second generation Adlerians,
Okay.
which it was more experiential. You didn't just learn the theory. They taught you hands-on in the classroom, which I found very fascinating. What drew me to that was the humanistic approach.
Mhm.
What Adler is about, one of his basic concepts is social interest. A lot of times when people come in to see me, they're cut off socially. And he says the way you heal somebody is getting them socially involved once again. And it makes sense. As babies, we need humans to survive. It's not like Tarzan. The animals would eat you. You'd be a goner. So we're pack animals coming out of the womb, but we forget, I think more so in our society, how important that is. And that doesn't mean just being around people. That means speaking authentically to each other.
Would it be a safe assumption to maybe make a connection between Adler and Friedrich Nietzsche?
That would be a fair assumption.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
a lot of humanistic approaches to a lot of the things that he spoke about too, as well as like how you go through life and you don't reach your peak until you have now become the child again, ever growing, ever learning.
Yes. Yes, very
Okay.
much so.
Okay.
Very much so. He was a big one too on a concept, zeitgeist,
Mhm.
the spirit of the times,
Mhm.
and being aware of what that is. And in today's world, it seems to change so swiftly. So,
It's very
under,
based on trend.
yes, yes, very much so.
But also trend, I feel like could be what people do to conform because they don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do what everybody else is doing, which is just fake it till you make it, I suppose.
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, we all want to belong. So if I have the newest fashion of anything, well, then people will desire me. Why do we want people to desire us? Well, deep within us, at a cellular level, we're supposed to procreate and spread.
Which mathematically confuses me, and we're gonna confuse
Oh,
Cappuccino here
already
because
lost.
I said math, and he was like
I got banana and blue.
question marks started flying around the room, and I said math. But on a cellular level, to multiply, you have to divide,
Yes.
which completely confuses mathematicians. Those functions are opposite but equal reactions.
I'm going to go with cappuccino right about now. Okay, you're going into a universe that we have to spend a lot of time on that for me to grasp some of those concepts.
So I think we missed one person in the question, though, which is Gene Houston.
Oh, Dr. Jean Houston. Wow. What do you say about this person? We could talk hours about her. It's not easy for me to show tears. I'd have to talk a lot about that as to why. But when I heard this woman speak in California at a seminar, the waterfalls that came out of my eyes flew the doors off me. I was so shocked because what she said touched my soul so deeply, and I hadn't had that. I was hungry for growth. I knew that. I just didn't know where I'd find it. So I went to this big seminar, the Evolution of Psychotherapy, that's in Anaheim every couple of years with all the godfathers and godmothers of psychology. But she lit me up. So much so that there were opportunities to go to her home and train with her. So, and it's typically a group of anywhere from 8 to 15 people. Jean was almost like a sociologist. She worked for United Nations, and they would send her to different cultures to live there, to study them, to find out what they were doing that was different and unique. For example, there was a tribal community and it hadn't rained for a long time. So, they were concerned about the crops and starvation. And then she observed them do something very interesting. A lot of the townspeople there came out of their huts and they all started singing and dancing, which she thought was odd until she realized what they were doing. They were awakening the creative centers of their brain in order to come up with a creative solution to the problem that they
Right.
have.
That the singing itself didn't bring the rain, but the singing opened up a part of their like conscious self and subconscious self to create a solution to the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
By basically stimulating those neurons in the creative centers of the brain. Why not prime the pump? I mean, that's basically what they were doing, which is phenomenal. You know, it's like, this is the stuff that should be taught in educational systems. See, the problem in our culture is we're so externally focused on average, and we're not internally focused, which is something the ancients always practiced. So that's really the big problem. We should be teaching meditation, real meditation, not just
metacognition.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my mind, that's what Trump ought to, be doing at this point. We're not going to go into politics. I'm sure the leader, let me rephrase that. The leadership of our country.
Of any country.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what Jean would do. She was spent time with the leaders of Egypt, deciding how to architect their society through methodologies. And the funny thing is with Jean, it's not funny, it's interesting. She obviously grew up in the drug era of the 60s. And what her and her husband tried to do and accomplished is, how do we invoke an acid trip in the natural mind without using
the
drugs.
Substance. Okay.
And they ended up going back into the Himalayan meditative art that has been going on in India for eons, because they focused on the internal state. I mean, that's really the biggest problem. And what happens when you're too externally focused? You get depressed, you get anxious. And then people are stuck in the external world, not the internal.
That's fair. I'm just so, like, when we were talking about what an administration could be doing for their people, I went back to, everybody knows my favorite president, or I think they do. Roosevelt, Franklin.
No. Well, now that we got that cleared up.
Yes.
He would do radio addresses and speak to the people as if they were sitting right in front of him.
Yes.
And I feel like that's something that we're lacking. I don't want to be spoken at. I want to be spoken to. And if administrations, if leaders, if teachers, if parents spend some more time not just saying, did you learn anything at school today? Because what's your answer going to be? I don't know.
No, not really.
Or it's going to be, no, not really.
Or just to get you to stop asking.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be any answer.
Right.
But what if I said, hey, Drew, what did you learn today that you didn't know yesterday?
Interesting.
Now it's making me think, well, what didn't I know yesterday that I know now? How did I grow? The metacognition of that is much more beneficial to a child's or an adult's brain than, what'd you do today?
Yes, you're also training them literally neurologically to look at the positive of the day. Because every new thing you get in your walk on earth is a gift if you look at it that way.
You could also even frame negatives in a growth mindset. What is something you didn't do so well at today that you could do better tomorrow? Because then you're like, well, I was really shit at math today. But tomorrow I could do it better, because tomorrow is another opportunity. So we didn't do so great today, but we're going to do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think those are definitely things that we could be taking before we even get to therapy.
With my kids, I usually ask, what are 5 things that you're grateful for today?
Okay. Yeah.
And especially if they're in a bad mood, because grateful and hateful have no room to work together. It's either one or the other. And so to change the mindset, I usually say, or, hey, give me 5 points of your day. Highlight a day, good, bad, indifferent. I never ask this. And when you say parents, right, administrative, right, we instantly want to go to our leadership of our country. But listen, you have a kid, your responsibility. There is no manual to be a parent.
I've Googled it. There really isn't.
And there's so what we do is we wash, rinse, repeat from what we learn, what the hand down is. Now, is that a negative space that's just being handed down? And when I was a kid, the things that my parents did, I'm like, well, that's just the whole world, because you're a whole world.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not until you get out of that, right? Then I realized, I'm like, man, my family's crazy. You know, there's so much more to it than just this, you know, aggressive craziness that doesn't need to be. You internal that. So if you the best point I can say is, you know, as my wife says, for every great man, there's a better woman standing behind him, rolling their eyes. You know, and it's true. If you have the right partner, to you ping pong, I don't think about myself at all. I think about my family. My family thinks about me. That's that handoff, right? And that's how we make it through the experience in this world. And
But you got to make sure you're still feeding yourself.
of course, well, you got to put the oxygen mask on, right?
Yes, whatever that
100%.
means for you. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, you have to. Otherwise, you can't help anybody else. You can't help
Right. I
yourself.
think
100%.
it was explained to me that you can't fill up somebody else's cup if your bucket is empty.
That's true. That's true. If we're gonna throw out bumper stickers, you stop putting other people's trash in your garbage can when there's only room enough for your.
There you
garbage.
go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just it. You want to help everybody that's around you. That's great, but you gotta be a little bit of a surgeon on that, a little precise, right?
Mhm.
So where what you want to take and what you give out, because you know what you're gonna absorb. Once it's here in the old head,
Yeah.
you don't get rid of it. Now
Yeah.
it's just what filing system do you put it in, and when is it gonna fall back out of the cabinet?
Yeah.
Right.
I want to back up because with the work that I do, I feel like I'm doing alchemy. It's not something I read in a book, but what I think happens is when you sit before thousands of people of so many different walks, they teach you a lot about humanity. So a lot of what I know is just through sitting with people, and I don't like to BS. It's one of the flaws that I have. I speak very authentically to people, and I don't mean to be rude at all, but I want to have a deep, authentic conversation. But there are so many people that don't go deep, and it's uncomfortable for them. For whatever the reasons are. So I guess I'd say you want to do therapy. But when someone says, you know, well, I didn't do this well today, what I'll ask then is, how hard did you work on it before you stepped into it?
Mhm.
And then they'll squirm, they'll smile because they didn't spend a lot of time. Because why? I hate math. You keep saying you hate math. Guess what?
Mhm.
You're going to hate it every time
Every single
unconsciously
time.
when you walk in
Right.
there.
You're setting that precedent for yourself.
Right. And then I'll go, depending on the age, I wouldn't necessarily say this to a high school person, but if you get a B or higher on the next math test and money is important to you, the $1 million that I have stacked up on this table is yours. Now, if $1 million means something to you, do you think that human being would be highly motivated to get an A or a B? Yeah. Now, and I say, and if that's not motivating, say your parents are very wealthy, and if it were permissible under the healthcare laws and that, you either get an A or a B on the next test in mathematics, or we're taking your pinky off. Yeah.
That's also motivating.
But I do that to shock their brain, to get them to understand you are more in control of this process than you think you are. Why would you say you're weak in this area? You know, now, granted, there are some things, like some people don't do numbers well. They don't seem to have that gift, but they do very well with language and reading human beings.
Well, I think the reason, and this is a topic for another day, but the reason why people don't do as well in math as they do in reading is because we treat reading as a verb. You read with your kids. Do you math with your kids?
Ooh, so it's a cultural influence.
I know not math.
That is not. You know, we talk about lower U.S. math scores. That should be an advertising campaign our government should be doing right now. Math with your kids.
Math with your kids.
Get the trademark on that phrase.
But why would they want to do that? Because a dumb society is better controlled.
Okay. Now you're in conspiracy land. I hope it's not that way.
But it's not conspiracy. It's proven fact in historical like markers. A culture who doesn't understand what's
Yeah.
at stake.
Okay. I understand that. I can think a little bit like a sociopath, but I am so for humanity that it would just be like holding somebody back from who they're supposed to be. That's a sin in my book.
Oh, absolutely. But that's because you're a good human being.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is where the train comes off the tracks in every show. Right here. No, it's fine. So I'm actually gonna skip a couple of these because some of them are like so arbitrary. Like I almost asked, when you sit down with a new client, what's the first thing you do? I mean, you're more than welcome to
Oh,
answer,
yeah. No,
but-
actually, there is significance with that.
Okay.
When I first sit down with a client, and this comes out of Milton Erickson's work. Milton Erickson's one of the founders in the United States of psychotherapy, hypnosis, just a wizard of a man. Actually, Wizard in the Desert is one of his books that have been published recently. Wonderful institution. What were we talking about? I lost my mind.
We were talking about when you first
Oh, when
sit
you
down.
first
Yeah.
meet somebody, yes.
You didn't lose it. It temporarily got
It did.
misplaced.
What happens when you first meet somebody is within the first couple of minutes, they tell you what the problem is. And then afterwards, they tell you 15 to 20 stories backing up what they just told you within the first couple of minutes. Okay. So sometimes I get guys, more so guys, a couple of women through the years, but who get sent to me for anger management, sometimes from the court and sometimes from their spouses.
Mhm.
And, they'll say, yeah, I'm here because I keep blowing my stack a lot. And then they'll say, well, I did this and I said this to my kids and I did this to my spouse. And, they'll tell a bunch of stories. But within the first few minutes, you have a regulation problem. You're not able to manage the stick shift. It goes from first to fifth, and that doesn't work that way.
Right.
So this guy needs to learn how to better manage that. So sometimes telling him that story is an awakening for him. You want to kind of shock their brain in a conscious hypnotic state. So you can be a warrior, but this isn't Sparta.
Right.
All right? We're not at that.
We're not
period.
at war right now.
And I know deep within the crevices of your brain, because we only use 2 to 7% of the brain, but deep within those crevices of the other 93% you're not using is kindness and calmness. You just need to awaken that in your system.
Yeah, gear 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Now I'm going to so I go to therapy on Wednesdays. That's going to be my question tomorrow. What the hell did I do in my first 15 minutes?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there moments that you feel vulnerable as a therapist? I don't mean like physically, like you're worried about like your
Safety.
client attacking you, throwing a couch at you or something.
Yeah, I when you ask that question, I think because I've been doing this so long, and one of the wonderful things about the job is experiencing so much of humanity through the stories and the personalities of people that come in. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Do you ever feel vulnerable?
Do I ever feel vulnerable? I know when I'm absolutely powerless over the stimulus. For example, a male client who lost his son because of an overdose. I can't bring that kid back. And that is what that person wants more than anything.
Right.
They wish they could redo their whole last day and done one thing different, so they would have caught the person with the needle in the arm. I can't change that, but the way I look at it is, in cultural terms, in my mind, what goes on is this guy's going to have to take a walk through hell. And I think, what hells have they been through already? Do they have an infrastructure to work with? Because if they've been through it already, they have some strength in them, some training. on seeing the light after walking through hell.
Right.
I think that was Winston Churchill who said that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
But I almost
Good
wonder
quote.
if that makes, let's say a therapist does have kids. I wonder if that makes that particular therapist, that particular professional feel more vulnerable knowing that they're sitting in front of somebody that lost something that is precious to them in a way that they also understand.
Yes, certainly that could be a wake-up call for that individual. Now, keep in mind, sometimes therapists in the course of doing therapy, and I've seen very, very good therapists who just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Right. They either burn out or they
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Same reason I could never be a veterinarian. I'd put down one dog and I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
I mean, you got to know your limits. What I would say is that person hadn't sat psychologically with that thought in their head
Right.
very often at all, if it shocks their system, you know. And again, I mean, you could be thinking about it in a very worried state too. But going back to some of the things we discussed earlier, life's brutal. Life is brutal at times.
It is.
And it's unfair sometimes. So don't be so damn surprised when it happens to you. What I would say is go find your allies, go find your mentors, let them know you're in hell, and ask them very honestly, how do I get out of this?
How do I get out of here? Yeah, there was I don't know, have either of you seen the show West Wing?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I've seen episodes of that.
So Leo McGarry, my favorite character. I think I've actually told this particular thing on air before. He's talking to Josh Lyman, who is insane. Josh is going through some severe PTSD after a incident where he was shot at. There was an attack. You know, he's going through it. So they bring in a whole like team of trauma specialists, and it's still he's not getting anywhere. So Leo McGarry, who is one of his friends, says, he's telling Josh the story. There's this guy, and he falls down into a hole, and he's down there, and people on the street are walking by, and a therapist walks by and says, "Hey doc, can you help me out?" Doctor writes a prescription, throws it in the hole, walks away. Okay. Another person walks by, is like, "Hey, can you help me out?" Guy throws down a blanket and some water and walks away. Still in this hole. And a friend walks by and he says, "Friend, please, I need help. Could you get a ladder? Could you put a rope down?" And the friend climbs in the hole with him. He's like, "You're an idiot. Now we're both in here." He goes, "Yeah, but I've been down here before and I know a way out."
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think finding your allies, I know that's so like cliche, but
no, this is, what you just did and what you cited is a lot of what hypnosis and Milton Erickson are about. I trained with a couple other people that are very prominent. Dr. Michael Yapko, who is the first and foremost in hypnosis on an international level.
I always get nervous thinking about hypnosis. I don't know what would happen.
We should talk about that.
There's some things that the feds don't want to know about me.
I'm on lists already.
But the power of hypnosis, I had seen through my training with him, people go through surgeries without anesthesia. Yeah.
Because they're able to shut
They're
those
able
nerve
to shut it
centers
off.
with their brain off.
And we are actually, after all my training with Dr. Yapko, we don't know why it works.
It just does.
But it works. I mean, the billboards going into Chicago, if you want a hair transplant, Erlacher. Well, why? They spent, I swear, they must have spent $1 billion over 10 years.
You know when you get to Cook County, though, when you're almost at the airport, because it's like,
yes,
the hair father.
Yeah.
And you're just like, there's a whole generation of people who have no idea that was a bear, that was one of the Chicago Bears. Now they just know him as the guy with the hair.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing, and I'm not a political expert, but when I hear that we have some of our mainstream social media systems owned by other countries that had captured our youth, and I know that's changed. I don't know what they worked out, but that's concerning because our brains store whatever messages we get. And there's a lot of subliminal messages that are used often.
That's one of the podcast creators that I really like, uh, Shelby Sacco. I mean, she's super young. I was really like a little leery about listening to her because I'm like, one, she's super fit. Like, we have nothing in common. Two, she's got her whole life together. We have nothing in common. She's this podcast host. She's got this company. She's doing all these things, teaching about habit stacking. But what she talks about a lot is when she was what she calls it doom scrolling. It's late at night, you can't sleep, and you're just scrolling through whatever TikTok or Facebook or Instagram is giving you, and you're just getting negative shit after negative shit. She's like, that was poisoning my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually went through all of the people she followed and started unfollowing people that were bringing negativity to her world, and started really putting in things that were positive. Other women that were super like body positive. Like, yes, I might be skinny, but that doesn't matter. What's about is healthy. Let's be healthy together. Like, and really like feeding her soul with things that were going to be more positive. And she noticed when she started doing that she started to mimic what she was seeing.
Yeah. In that, when you tell me that, that's what we would say would be an awakening. And the question is, why did that happen? Was it predestined at a certain time in her development that thing would pop open? Was it, an energy thing at a level we can't measure? What lights someone up to be a social movement, basically? I mean, that's what this young girl's doing.
Right. Another influencer, no relation, her name's Leah Hope. She went through this whole journey of weight loss, and she says you're never going to be ready. Ready is a decision. It's not a time that just happens.
Yes.
And I like that thought that, are you ever going to be ready?
Well, I mean, even with weight loss, the things that we're talking about is a change of life, not just a change of one thing.
Right.
You want to better yourself. You have to learn how to adapt to change, right? A metaphorical mirror, when you look at it and you go, if you're able to go, all right, where are my flaws? And let me see what roads I need to take to fix them. If you can do that, you live a little bit happier. Now, your friend or this woman that you're talking about, in my book, listen, the internet is the internet. When you get an algorithm, you see one fist fight on YouTube or whatever platform. The next thing you know, the next video is another one, and then another one, and then another one. Now your algorithm is picked up.
Yeah.
Now, if you are the person that is, deep city living person, and then all of a sudden you move to the country and you get all these new friends that have a little bit of twang in their voice, next thing you know, you start speaking country. Why is that? Because you become the space that you surround yourself in.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself in negativity, guess what? You're going to start being negative.
Yeah, you are the company you
Correct.
feed.
So be careful what beast you want to feed, right? And Todd, I got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So when you get a client, do you find it as a psychologist? I mean, listen, you're still human. You run a variable just like any other person. You get all the education to do this and be able to help other people, which I love, by the way. If a client comes to you and they sit down and they start explaining to you what they're going through, is it easier to manage that if you have gone through it versus not have gone through it? Let's just say, we'll say a loss of a son, right? If you have lost your son, is that an easier connectability?
I don't want to keep feeding that thought, so I'm going to switch it up on us.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I got two. I got 4 sons, so I don't want to talk about.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But someone say who is going through litigation and has to do a deposition.
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've spent a fair amount of time in the legal system with a variety of different experiences, where the one thing I'll say is you never know what's going to happen when you walk in there, even if you got a solid case or a loser case. All right. Because they don't, honestly, they don't follow the law. They read more. The attorneys use this term optics, how it looked. Well, I'm kind of a loud guy who doesn't sit back easy.
I love it.
But it's sort of like, I'm a psychologist. I've run a business successfully for 20 years. Wouldn't you expect me to have some energy in me? And I think some of the guy judges understood that because they cut me slack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ran into a female judge who just unethically squashed, and we're working through that right now. It was just really it was so disappointing to see our tax dollars be used in a way that was not judicial. And this is right after I testified in a case down in Kentucky that involved a judge who got she went into retirement but got disbarred because she had been disciplined 3 times by her prevailing committee. And they can't get rid of them easily for some reason.
So if I came to you,
yes,
like hypothetically, I come to you and I'm like, I'm going through the nightmare of a court case.
Yeah.
Would you feel more comfortable like talking to me about that because
Oh,
you've gone
yes.
through it?
Yes.
Versus maybe I come to you and I'm like, I've got PCOS, polycystic ovary, syndrome. Like, and you're like, well, I don't have ovaries.
Well, yeah, but what I would say, where my mind would go at that time is you're challenged by not having control over something that you can't see and you can't fix yourself.
Right.
And you've got to rely on others to help you with that. And what I would say is meditation, prayer, calm the nervous system in the body, get your veggies and fruits, and flood your system with all the purity things, because they say magic can happen when you choose to do that. You've heard those stories before.
So essentially, regardless of what, this is my takeaway on that, would be regardless of what a client is bringing to you, you've got your foundational pieces that can help to solve anything that is brought to you. To some extent, there's going to be outliers.
But the way I look at these, when clients come into me, is I hear their story, and at times there are better fits for that particular issue. But if they had the courage to share their story and say, I'm one of the few that have heard it, or the only one, I don't want to just push them out the door, because I'm still looking at that emotional part. And I'm very open, and I'll say, I don't have a lot of experience in this. For example, I had worked with a female in her mid-20s, this is years ago, and was depressed. And we went down the road of medication and lots of therapy. And after about 1.5 years, she'd come in and said she wants to change her gender. And I knew her deeply enough where she has really thought about this, and she hadn't told her family and hadn't told anybody. And I am not an expert in that particular category. But through my training, you don't just abandon somebody. That's just, you don't do that. So I said, hey, thanks for sharing that with me. Now it makes sense why those meds weren't working. I said, so you have a journey ahead of you, don't you? And I know that you've thought this journey out quite a bit. And I'm going to continue to work with you, but I also maybe want to consider getting a specialist involved.
Right. Somebody
just to make sure that your journey is as smooth as possible, because you're going to be flipping over probably a lot of things.
Right. Get the help you need in the ways that you need.
Yeah. So I guess in that like, I don't know, I was watching the Bears game yesterday. I was so disappointed. They had a good game though.
It started really good.
It was strong in the beginning.
But here's the thing. I totally off topic. Well, sort of off topic. But I was downstairs, and my my husband and I, Dustin and I, were downstairs. My mom's watching the game upstairs, and I know she's watching the game because I can't hear the game, but I can hear her. And no, what? No, what? No, yes. There was just like all these noises. I had no idea what's going on. I just knew it was football. So I finally go up there and I'm like, are we losing? She goes, no, we're winning. I was like, I should go back downstairs because as soon as I come up here, they're going to lose. It's going to be my fault. What happened? My fault. So we did make a joke though, for all of you listening in the Chicago area. It has been 40 years since we won a Super Bowl. I was not born. I wasn't born yet. I've never seen a Bears Super Bowl win.
Oh, I was there. You were too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's show it on the sleeve right there, right?
Yes.
So I asked my mom how many years it was in between the Cubs winning a World Series, and she said 108, which means we have 68 years to go for the Bears.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Maybe next year.
I was going down a road and we got sidetracked, but and it is important. I also did a couple of therapy sessions with Dr. Irving Yalom, who is in his 90s, and he is one of the godfathers of psychotherapy. And I just did that because I wanted the experience.
Right.
And he basically said, if you don't manage that intensity, you'll die. I'm like, okay, thank you, sir. So that worked out well. And then currently I'm training with Dr. Ronald Alexander, who has done a great deal in the realm of creativity and meditation. I think I had recommended one of the books.
Was it the Creativity and Madness?
The
other one.
The other one, yes.
That was also
good. But Ronald studied meditation all over the globe and in India, and he basically took the different pieces and integrated it into a methodology. And he's a musician and has worked extensively with helping musicians unlock creativity, much like what the Beatles did.
Right.
Because George, I think it was, went to India, studied meditation. So when you look at the development of their albums, it goes straight up, which is unusual because usually musicians will peak on the first one. But it was through meditation they were able to unlock so much of their creativity, which I find fascinating.
So that actually leads me to another question that I have on my thing, which is really exciting. I love that you're like following the list, even though the list isn't in front of you.
Oh, that's okay.
No,
I'm having fun with this.
No, that's good.
You're doing great.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. How you doing over there?
Doing good.
Oh,
good.
So,
Nick?
Yeah, I'm Nick.
Yep.
Nick.
He's our guy. We know him.
Good deal. Nice
Everybody
to meet you,
that's
Nick.
watching knows him too, except they don't.
Do you have a coffee name too, like cappuccino or?
Unfortunately not.
No.
It goes by Nico. I mean,
Just Nico. Yeah.
Okay.
You're
All right,
Italian
there you
now.
go.
Yeah. So let's see. Where do we want to go here? How do you deal with compassion fatigue or burnout? How do you disconnect from your office when you go home?
Oh boy. I have a great life partner. She can read me like a book.
She is pretty cool.
She's Italian. That's one of the reasons, I think, and half Greek. But
that's a dangerous combo.
We knew each other back in our early 20s, but that's a big support for me. We've got 5 kids, so making sure that they're doing okay makes me feel good. I guess one of the things that I try to do is a lot of yard work, building different things.
So you're grounded. When you leave your office, you're grounding in your support, you're also changing hats essentially. You're taking off your role as, a medical professional and putting back on your all the time, hat, which is you're a dad. I mean, you're a spouse, your family, you've got all of these things at home that keep you in the here and now and in the positive versus some of the terrible things you hear at the office.
Yes. I'm very disciplined with meditation, and has grown more as I've gotten older in importance.
Is there a basic meditation that anybody could learn that's pretty easy to explain?
Well, we've all been meditated and hypnotized. If you've ever taken a road trip, you've been in
Recently.
that zone
Mhm.
before. You know, in essence, what hypnosis is and meditation is basically what we had talked about earlier, zoning out the outside world and getting intensely focused on a thought.
Okay.
You know, so if you had choices of all the thoughts, being on the beach in the ocean with the waves, the warmth of the sun, and hearing the seagulls go wave after wave, just soothing your skin. You know, you can get there and you don't
Yeah.
even have to be there. You can,
Yeah.
if you have a creative mind, you could visualize it.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's the old saying, we become what we think about most.
Well, I think I'm a skinny girl.
There you go,
There it
girl.
is, right there.
Dang, put some meat on your bones, girl.
All right, so we got to wrap up soon,
Okay.
but I do want to know, do you ever learn from your clients? And if so, what is something they've taught you?
What they have taught me is miracles do happen. Metamorphosis does happen. I've seen some people when they awaken, and it really seems God, perhaps the universe,
Mhm.
but there's a switch that flips, and I wish that we could bottle that up and market that, but I don't think you could do it that way. I think sometimes you've got to go through life's tough times in order to prepare you for whatever's coming down the pipeline.
Fair, fair.
You know, in ancient cultures, we used to have these people, shaman, that would come and, you know, they'd see you get born into the world and they'd study you for 10 years and then they'd give you a new name and tell you who you were based upon your energy.
Mhm.
You know, somebody who can't sit still. Oh, hyper one, that's your new name, you know. And now what do you do with that gift? Well, you're blasted parties because you're all over the place and you don't stop talking, you know. So understanding our gift, and we don't have that going on in our culture. You know, if you're somebody who doesn't like a lot of stimulation, you probably shouldn't be in sales.
Probably not.
You know, you probably shouldn't be in the music industry, you know. Uh, Maybe being a pianist, you know, by yourself,
Mhm.
you know, whatever that might be, because once it gets above 3,000 RPMs, it's uncomfortable for your nervous system. What I would tell a parent to do is within reason and with close monitoring, slowly increase the stimulation
Right.
to build the neural network
Right.
in the
You're
brain to be able
desensitizing
to.
the nerves, but
Exactly.
slowly. You're not throwing them into an extreme situation where they have no way to cope with
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm getting the sign over here. So if last note, doesn't matter if you think you need it or not. If there's times in your life when you're feeling just not centered, grounded, safe, valuable, any of the things, there's so many different ways to explain this. It's okay to go seek help. That's why
Yeah.
there are professionals for this. And if you can't get to Algonquin or Inverness, there is a website called Psychology Today,
Yes.
which is actually where I found my therapist. You can go on this site, you type in where you're at, what you're looking for. If you already know some of the things you're struggling with, you can put those in there and it's going to match you with somebody. It's like the match.com of mental health.
Yes.
And
Yes.
go there, get some help. If you need more resources, feel free to send us a message. Email us at wearerainclouds@gmail.com. We will find you some sites that you can find help. And honestly, if you're in crisis, 911 is going to be your best bet.
Yeah.
Call somebody.
Yeah.
That is what they are there for.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, click that link below in the description. You know, check out Todd. You know, awesome. And I just want to call you Doc. It just
That's
You
what
know,
my friends call me. too.
I'm not a doctor. I just play
Doctor's
one on
fine.
Sundays. But and the link for the email too will
I'll
be
get
in
all
the
that.
description as well.
Well, Nico was going to get all that in there.
Oh yeah,
He
he's
does
here.
that.
He's here and he's got his
Go,
coffee.
Nico.
He's ready to go.
He drinks and he knows things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's Nico.
Well, it's important to find the who that knows the how. If you don't know the how, find the who that knows the how. And Nico, he's got the how.
So you can do the what.
I am the what. Well, folks, hey, that's it. That goes fast, doesn't it? Check us out, YouTube, 216 Creator Studios. Check out our website at 216creatorstudios.com. We are always open for sponsors for the show as well. Feel free to reach out to Hope Vitale, and we'll get something on the books.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Until next time, folks, enjoy the day.